If you're looking at any of the three colored boxes, you're looking at possible proposed liabilities. We give you the ability to do up to 3 comparisons against the current liabilities. And just as with the current liabilities, you have the ability to expand or contract that particular liability. We leave the header bar there so you can see the program. And you'll notice now that I've contracted this and I can see my alternatives. And I have also the ability to very quickly duplicate. So if I create my first case up here and get it the way I want it, I would want to have it expanded. But I can then click duplicate that entire proposed liability, and it'll bring all that information down, make it much faster for me to quickly and easily edit or modify that information. You'll notice that I have to pick one of the proposed liabilities as my default by clicking the little radio button here. This is important because our particular approach is that we want to take the current liabilities as the base state. It's sort of that do-nothing scenario. And then we want to compare a variety of options. But the goal is not to keep someone confused, to give them lots of options. The goal is to say, these are 2 or 3 different options that I've explored for you. And based on my experience, I'm going to propose this liability. And then you're going into the next part where you present. You're proposing the different liabilities and saying this is the one. What I don't want to do as a best practice is have you propose 3 scenarios and then really leave those 3 scenarios out there. You're going to show them, but you're going to propose one specifically that you think is best for the client. The property value may come in from the prior page, but we don't know. The appraisal may come in differently. So we have the estimated value on the Manage tab, but the property value that's used for the actual proposal is going to be right here in this particular section. I can select my loan program for a first mortgage and or a second mortgage here by simply clicking this drop-down box and field. And I can see that any prior liabilities that I had that I'm going to be continuing to keep as part of my proposed liability structure, they're going to show up right here. If I click to pay those off up there next to current liabilities for this scenario, then those will disappear. I have my front and back ratio, which is really helpful to see if you're looking for what percentage of their current income is going out for their mortgage-related expenses versus their total borrowing. I can see their CLTV and LTV, so if I were to put in a loan amount here of $10,000 and a pre-tax current interest rate of 4%, again, each time that little stuff grays out there, I'm seeing the software recalculate, reanalyze, and change the numbers across the entire platform, the reports, the side-by-sides, etc. I can see my total borrowing, my pre-tax average cost of borrowing, my after-tax cost of borrowing, my new payment. I have my helper there for the payment widget when that's needed. I can see my tax reduction. I can see my number of remaining payments. And I can see my APR, which is required in most situations. So I can look at the actual percentage rate or the the APR compared to the EPR. You can see where we got the EPR concept. It's the actual percentage rate. This is the effective percentage rate that client's paying on an after-tax basis. So you can do up to 3 of these in the proposed liabilities category. And again, to add another one, I would simply go to the alternative 2 here. I would expand that particular box. I can create a liability and then choose not to use it. I don't have to delete it. I simply shrink it up and it goes away. And remember, once I've got the first one set up, why not click the duplicate 30-year fixed option, which is going to bring down the majority of this information. Then I can go through and just change something, say, to a 15-year fixed and maybe change the interest rate, and everything else is done. I don't have to go through and change all the other numbers, but I can immediately see the impact of a 15-year fixed on the front ratios, back ratios, no change here. I can see the payment differences already in this particular area. If this is the one that I'm going to end up proposing to my client, I would simply click the Proposed Liabilities button here. And while all of the options will be available below, as you see below, all of the options here are going to be showing up with my description. That's why I would want to put 15-year fixed in my description above, because in doing that, you'll notice right here, this should change now to 15-year fixed to make it easier to remember. So that's how these work, and hopefully this will give you a nice feel for setting up your proposed liabilities.